Hello and welcome to DrawPlus. The flood tool is an incredibly useful feature that floods areas of an image based on visual boundaries. This means you can quickly fill areas that are not part of the same object with color. It can be used on any type of object, including quick shapes, text, and hand-drawn lines. We'll start by adding a quick grid and click dragging on the page to create the shape. We can then choose the flood tool from the drawing toolbar. Then we'll look at the mid-tone color palette for the various colors we'll be flooding the grid with. We'll start flooding areas of the grid. You will notice that because Select on Create is activated on the context toolbar, each flood is selected after it is created. By toggling this option off, it will make flooding the areas quicker, as we don't have to deselect each one. When each fill is added, DrawPlus creates them as separate vector objects, meaning they can be manipulated like any other object. We can right-click them all and add filter effects to give a nice finish to this drawing. We'll add a drop shadow, then a bevel and emboss effect, followed by a reflection effect. We'll reset our color options and select the quick grill. Click dragging it onto the page again. Let's work from the warmth color swatch this time, producing a gradient effect across each bar. Now, because each flooded area is created as a separate object, we can hold Ctrl whilst click dragging to resize each object about its center and create a staggered effect. Now we'll look at adding boundaries to shapes so we can flood them using different colors. Let's draw a quick zigzag onto the page, then use the pen tool to add 2 vertical lines, so we're separating the shape into 3 parts. We can zoom in and take our time with these lines to make sure they're accurate. Once we've created the lines, we can then flood the 3 areas to create a contrasting effect. We can also work with traced shapes from photographs or drawings. All that is required for DrawPlus to create accurate flood areas is to have definitive sections within the drawing. In this example, we can see the separate areas created by the pen tool, which we can then flood with color. If we are tracing from a source image, a very useful feature is Generate Palette, found on the context toolbar. Using this tool, we can generate a palette based on colors present in the image, which makes it much easier to color match when flooding the traced version. That's all for now. We've looked at some practical uses for the flood tool and demonstrated how it can speed up the color filling process and produce some great results. For more information, see the Learn section of the Startup Assistant. Thank you for watching.